Hi writers, welcome to this video on essay number 1. There were quite a few questions today after the Zoom session regarding essay 1. Essays are always the thing that writers have lots of questions about, are curious about, freak out about, are nervous about, are anxious about, are excited about. And so this video is just going to go over what is it that I'm asking you to do for essay number 1. So in order to find the materials for essay 1, you're going to go to weeks 3 through 6, Wild Mind by Goldberg, because that's the unit that we're on. And here you will find everything that's happening for the next 4 weeks, including the essay. Now, ideally, we want to give ourselves time to brainstorm, come up with ideas, outline and draft before you turn in your final essay. Now, all of that stuff you're going to be doing kind of on your own, but with support and encouragement from the rest of the class, myself included. And so if you keep scrolling down, in week 5, a couple weeks from now, because we're in week 3, you will have a reading response ideas draft due. And so I'm not sure what that's going to look like for you. It depends on how your mind works, how you unpack your thoughts. If you're an outlining person, you're going to outline your ideas. If you're a clustering person, you're going to bust out your journal and you're going to cluster some of your ideas and go from there. So, and maybe you'll do both. So I would encourage you to try all different types of strategies for brainstorming and coming up with ideas for essay number 1. That way you can flesh it out and build upon the ideas that you have. The way that our ideas work, they're like moments and there are an infinite number of them. And so it's really your decision which ideas you want to share and develop in your essay. I'm going to click on week 5 because this is really where we're going to start regarding some of our brainstorming, but this is where you're going to brainstorm from together. And so basically, here are some things you're going to do, like pre-writing, pre-drafting, pre-ideating, and then clustering. I picked, so for your essay number 1, you are going to do a reading response, write up a reading response for Goldberg's Wild Mind. And so what that means is you're going to have to decide which of the readings or which reading you want to respond to in your reading response. I'm going to pull up the actual prompt side by side with the drafting discussion so you can kind of see them both at the same time, because the actual prompt is much more specific. But again, your task for essay number 1 is to write a reading response to Wild Mind. You can decide how much of her book you want to talk about, how much or how little. It really just depends on what's inspiring you, what you're excited about, and you can go from there. So here are some discussion post questions. I'm waiting for the other page to load. What stands out to you about the story or the stories that you picked from Wild Mind? What is the story that you picked about? And what do you notice about Goldberg's way of sharing this story with you? So keep in mind that for the reading response, you're being asked to take her book, and the next couple of weeks you'll be reading chunks of it, and so you'll decide if you want to write about one story or multiple stories in your reading response. The requirement for the reading response is 2 full pages, so it's basically a 5-paragraph essay. You're welcome to develop it a little bit more. It just has to be coherent. It has to be like any other essay with a beginning, a middle, and an end, and it has to be all connected. So I would encourage you to pick one story, but again, if you want to pick more than one story, that's okay. Just think about how you want to organize your ideas. So for instance, if you decide to pick 3 stories and make those 3 stories the body paragraphs of your essay, that might be a good way to do it. But keep in mind that I'm looking at your mastery of certain skills, or at least your practice of certain skills, and one of those skills would be summary. So here is an example. I picked the story Running, and it is on page 97 from her book. So this story is a story about her running coach and her connection between running and writing. And so what I did was I busted out my journal. As you can see here, I read through the story first and I tattooed it, I annotated it, took some notes so it could sink in the information that stood out to me. and then I clustered it in my journal. So that's what I would like you to do to start off, is use these techniques of writing and engaging actively with your reading first, and then consider answering these questions here. So if you are already formulating a draft for your essay number 1, you're welcome to post that here as well. But it's totally up to you. The more you post, the more you can get feedback. Which story are you picking? Have you clustered and done the rereading strategies? Because that's what's here. And so keep that in mind. That's kind of what's happening with this one. So now that my site is refreshed, hallelujah, I can scroll down to the actual prompt, and it's here. So I don't want you to get caught up in the details of the essay prompt, but it is important that you read over it. I'm just going to do it here with you while we're together. This is your reading response, a chance for you to delve into the world of ideas, engage in conversation, and expand your mind. It's a 2-page double-spaced reading response, and you can pick any reading that you want to read. Here is your task. So we're not only studying Wild Mind, but we're studying rhetoric. And so again, I will keep mentioning the rhetorical triangle, which we will discuss over the next several weeks and throughout the entire semester. But the main question that you're going to ask when you encounter a reading is this: is the argument effective? Is the writer's choice of words effective? Is the piece persuasive? If it is, how is it persuasive? If it's not, in what ways does it need to be revised or tweaked or reimagined in order to be more effective? So this works on the level of whenever you are looking at a text or a visual, a film, a music video, we can look at the rhetoric of the video. Advertising is a super useful way of understanding rhetoric because advertisements are inherently persuasive. So you can always Google advertisements if you want to practice rhetoric, and I can even create a discussion for us to do that. But really, here is your task or your prompts. You're looking at the rhetorical effectiveness of Goldberg's piece. How is Goldberg trying to persuade us of her points? What rhetorical devices is she using in her argument? And so remember, we have ethos, pathos, and logos, which we will discuss more throughout this week and the next several weeks. You're going to question the ideas that you encounter, agree and give reasons, disagree and give reasons, why you like it, why it stirs you, and connect on that personal level. So for example, if I'm analyzing rhetorically Goldberg's short story titled Running, I can connect personally for my own experience as a runner, as someone who does lots of hikes. I can connect on that level as well. So you want to make that connection. If you just want to keep it third person where you're just analyzing her piece and you're not connecting, that's fine too. But you want to make it interesting by pointing out something that we might not notice. We have samples here for essay number 1. There are 2 samples. Again, I could have given you 10 samples because they're all different. These are student samples from the last year of students at Ventura College, so you can kind of see what it looks like. On the bottom of the discussion here, or the assignment folder, you will see that there are kind of requirements or what I'm looking for. So keep those in mind. Don't stress out about these. This will happen over time because writing is a process. When you do submit your final essay, September 26th, several weeks from now, you will do 2 things. You will submit your assignment as a PDF or a Word document or a docx. Those are the only file types that I will accept because they're easy to open and read. And if you don't have Word, there's a free version of it for you, Microsoft Office. Just ask me and I will show you where to get it on the Ventura College website. But you're going to submit your file in a digital format, and you're also going to submit an audio file of you reading over your essay. So I want to be able to hear you read your essay because you are the writer. So don't forget that when you turn your final essay in, you'll submit it in digital format and an MP3 file or an audio file or a video file. Any of those will work. Again, that's what's going to happen here in the discussion. I mean, in the assignment, no one else can see it, but we will be workshopping it in week 5. So keep in mind brainstorming strategies. Again, it's a reading response to Wild Mind. Pick a section or a story or something that you connect to, and then flesh out your ideas ahead of time, and a whole universe is going to open up to you, and you can decide, maybe you want to organize it by 3 awesome pieces of advice that you found rhetorically effective. Maybe you want to organize your essay by ethos, pathos, and logos in your body paragraphs. That's a great way to organize it. So think about your style and how you want to do it, and jump in the most important or first step is to read the sections and then pull whichever story speaks to you, or stories. That would be like the first phase. But again, trust your intuition, have fun, and go with the flow. I'm excited to see what you come up with.